folks, welcome back to yet another video. This time we're taking a look at Football Manager 2020. The official game is now go. No beta, no nonsense. And you know what that means? That means we can get access to the video editor. The in-game editor, that's right. And what we're going to do here is take two teams, not one team, but two teams from the Vanarama leagues and give them a shit ton load of money, that's right, and see what happens, see how long it takes for them to get to the Premier League and dominate world football, maybe even European football. That's the dream. Sugar daddy mode, that sort of stuff. So what that means, in fact, we're going to take a little look at the leagues right here, right now, in the real world. So here is we're going to take one from the Vanarama National League North and one from the Vanarama National League South. Now I thought, who would be so lucky? Who should get it from each one of these divisions? Any one of these teams could get it. I thought, you know what? We'll start with whoever is bottom. That's right, and curate them an alternative universe right here where they've just been given £1 billion. That's right. So Bradford PA are going to be the lucky bastards from the Vanarama National League North. They currently sit in the real world with 9 points on the board. They could get relegated. They could get relegated to football obscurity, to whatever's beneath this league in the football pyramid. So Bradford PA are going to be the lucky buggers from the Vanarama National League North. What about down south then? Well, let's take a little look, and we're going to do this exactly the same. I've actually got a lot of, not connections, but love for a lot of these teams. Like Wealdstone was just down the road when I used to live down in Hertfordshire. Oxford City, my sister used to live down in those neck of the woods. So I know a lot of these areas, and Hemel Hempstead as well. So I could have picked any one of those. But we're going to go with St Albans, just like Bradford PA. They are bottom. They're not as in much trouble as Bradford PA. But, and again, St Albans wasn't that far down the road from me as well. So maybe a little bit of a soft spot for them. So they are the lucky two teams, excuse me, that are going to get £1 billion investment into the club. So let's hop back into the vortex here, which is my parallel universe. Whoa, slipping off on the thing. So let's go and take a little look at Bradford PA, shall we? Here, Bradford. Now there's instantly. You can recognise that Bradford actually got a bit of a rivalry with the other Bradford City. So I think that's going to be first on their chopping block, is to kind of get past them in the football ladder to become the powerhouse in Bradford before focusing on Yorkshire as a whole and maybe even targeting Leeds United. But anyway, this is Bradford right now, semi-professional. This is what I'm working with, or what the investment is working with. Quick look at the squads here. Their most valuable player. Let's have a little look at this in a bit more detail. Is a couple of loanees, really. Baisley Graham from Aston Villa, 19 years old. Isaac Marriott from Huddersfield, another loanee. Alex Hurst from Port Vale. So three loanees. The actual most expensive player they have on their books that actually belongs to them is Mitchell Lund. Is valued at £14,000, formerly of Doncaster. Picked him up this season. Made the grade from League One to the Vanarama National. Any veterans? Do we have any veterans here? 46-year-old Steve Dixon. He is their goalkeeper. That's what we're talking about, folks. A veteran. Played football back in 1998 for Guiseley's highest ever stuff was probably Vanarama National. He's never gone higher than that. But anyway, he is goalkeeper competing with young Joe Green. So that's Bradford Park Avenue. So let's go back to the profile here and jump into the editor here. So currently they only have £31,506 in the bank with a wage budget of £19,000. But forget about that. Bradford PA fans, this is what you've been asking for. You are now under the ownership of some mysterious Illuminati. Is that a bad word? That's probably a bad word. A mysterious mega money man. So he's going to give you £1 billion. 1, 2, 3. I'm going too many on the zeros here. Let's start again. There should be 9 zeros. 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then transfer budget. I'm going to give you £100 million. In there. The wage budget, we're going to go with 1 million as well. So we'll give him 1 million to spend. Sugar daddy mode. I'm not touching that. So that is Bradford PA. They're set up for life. Now they're set up for life. Club that's been founded since 1907. It's all going to change for you. So let's hop on over and take a little look at St Albans. They are the other lucky bastards coming into this. They founded in 1908. Very similar ages to these two teams as well. Yeah, let's take a look at their players. Most valuable player for St Albans, Andreas Georgiou, unknown from Stevenage, just a couple of divisions above them. Reese Muriel Williamson is the most expensive player they own at £17 million. He is aged at 25. Obviously no caps. Has played his highest football at... He was on Celtics books back in the day, and formerly at Crystal Palace as well. Doesn't look like he got any game time for them. But anyway, he's their most expensive player. Any veterans for these guys? We have a 37-year-old David Noble. Where's he played? He's played at proper football. Look at that. He's been played for Yeovil, Bristol City, Oldham as well. Yep. Arsenal. Back in the day, he was on Arsenal's books, so... Probably a massive leader within the club. And Joe Howe, 31 years of age, formerly of MK Dons. Doesn't look like he got any game time there either. But anyway, that's what we're working with. Again, the new owners of the club, the mysterious man that's in charge. So we're going to get in there and do exactly the same finances. Though they're currently working with a little bit bigger budget, but they're going to wipe that out. 65 grand total bank balance, £5,339 wages. But again, they're going to get the big money. So 1 billion, they're going to get a transfer budget, get out of my face, of 100 million. And they're going to go the wages of 1 million. Is that right? No sugar daddy mode. We're just going to leave that as is. So there they are, set up for life. Now what we're going to do here, folks, is plough forward to the end of the season, see what goes on, see how they got on with their first year as a mega rich club. In fact, let's just pop out of that for a second and then go back in to check out Bradford, PA. Let's go check them out now, eh? So it now says okay for finances. It's there. Let's just double check, make sure it's all in there. Let's have a look at the cash flow. Yep, it's all in there. It's all locked and loaded. They are rich. They're loaded. They are loaded. We're going to take a look at this. There they are. So it's a clean bill of health. So they do start the season squeaky clean sort of appearance. So they don't start bottom, but in the real world they are. Enough jibber jabber. Let's fast forward to the end of the season and see how well they got on. So here we are, folks. The year is 2020. It's the 26th of June, and we are taking a look at the Vanarama National League North. And as you can see, Bradford, PA, they didn't do bits, really. They're actually in 17th spot. They didn't actually overshot the end of the season a little bit here with the simulation, but we can still take a look at the numbers that matter. They finished 17th in the table. They are loaded, so I don't know what went on. Maybe it takes them a while to click into gear. I don't know. But they got a shit ton load of money still. Let's take a look at who's the manager. Manager is Mark Bower. Was he the manager originally? He was. So he's still in charge, still plucking away at it. This is the senior squad. That aging goalkeeper has packed it in. Transfer history. What did they do last season? Well, they made a couple season signings this season. Just a few freebies. Lee Connolly from Sunderland. Straight in there. Most expensive player, I expect. 30. It's actually on loan. I thought it was a free transfer. Did it not say free transfer? No, it was loan. A couple other players in here. Ben Pearce. So no real standouts here. Just some little players that could add to the numbers. And then this season they brought in Kane Willis, £625 a week. Callum Williams, £825 a week. Let's take a look at the actual wages here for these players. See if anyone's been given some crazy money. Wage. Couple of little bad boys with bigger deals than the average rest. So these two are $1,000 or £1,000 more, than the majority of others. So starting to spend the money a little bit, but not as big as you'd expect. So Bradford will be in the Vanarama again, National League North. So how about the compatriots over in the South? Let's take a look at them. Where is the South? There we go. St Albans. Also did absolute shit. No, hang on, that's the old league. How do I see current season? Back it up. But it looks like they didn't get up there. Did much better though. They finished 7th in the table. St Albans, so just shy of, I think, the playoffs. They might have even made playoffs as well. Nah, No, they did make playoffs. Extra time defeat to Maidstone. So unfortunately for St Albans, they didn't make it, but they did have good strides. Ian Allison is the manager. I just want to make sure it is him still. Yep, it's the original gaffer. He's still in charge. They are loaded, as you can see, which is great. Let's have a look at their squad. Still got David Noble. Still chipping away as bits. Looks like a much bigger squad. Finances. Let's have a look at any crazy. Look at this guy, Sean Rowley. Was he a transfer? Possibly. Yeah, it looks like $4,000 a week. Billy Clifford as well. Let's take a look at actually the transfers last time out, last season. So Raheem Hanley, he's an ex-Rover. Yeah, back in the day. Fallen down the football ladder dramatically. He's 29 years of age. Joshua Webb, no mega money moves. Realistically, you got to bear in mind that despite them having a lot of money, their reputation still sucks. They have to climb the football ladder just like everybody else, but they can still pay more money to bring in decent, better players for that fight. So it's still going to be a long old process. I wasn't expecting an overnight success, but so far, they made strides, but ultimately they're stuck in the same division. We're going to fast forward to the second season at the end of it and see how far they got on then. So here we are, folks. The year is 2021. It is, again, I've overshot it a little bit, 29th of June. We're going to take a look we're going to jump straight into the Vanarama National League North. We can see Bradford are already there, which is shit. How did they get on last season? Holy shnikey, they're not doing bits at all. Struggling at 19th spot in the table. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. What was their season preview? Is that for this season? Well, this season, I believe they're expected to be struggling again for relegation, 17th spot in the table. So it's going to be a long old battle for Bradford to get out of this division, let alone to oust Bradford City. They are still loaded. Let's take a look at the transfers that they made last season. They spent zero money, but they brought in a whole host of players. This guy, I remember him from when Rovers were in League One. When Ten Hawks, not when. So let's take a look at the transfers for Bradford Park Avenue. Again, no standouts this season. Just a lot of bodies and numbers. No money spent. Players coming in still relatively cheap. Nothing crazy. They're spending money on wages, though. A lot of these signings coming in on quite ridiculous wages. They are bringing in more full-time players as well. Managerial-wise, have they decided to change it? No, they're stuck with Mark Bowyer. I think maybe just they're just going to stick it out for the time being and hope for the best over the next couple of seasons. Maybe get themselves up in a couple of seasons, but the money's there. I just don't know why they're not spending it. Or if I was them, I'd be spending even bringing in League Two players or something like that, just to try and get it. Maybe they're just that unappealable to players playing at a higher level. Anyway, so Bradford still stuck in the Vanarama National League North. How about the South? How did they get on last time out? St Albans also stuck in this stinking thing. Let's go back a season. How did they finish? Worse, because obviously the first season they did finish in 7th, so they dropped well off the pace. 18th this season. Pretty terrible. Mickey Mellon is the manager. I think that is a different manager. So Ian Allison was the manager, was in charge for 5 years. He got binned off, obviously. I would have binned him off as well, considering where they are on the table. So Mickey Mellon's come in, who is a reasonable manager. Has been managing a lot of clubs over the years. If we can have a look at his pedigree. That's not what I want. Milestones. Tranmere, Shrewsbury, Fleetwood. You know what? He's been there and done it. So he's an experienced guy, and hopefully he can get them in the right direction. So Mickey Mellon's now in charge for St Albans. Transfer wise, what did they do? They were a little bit more savvy in the transfer market, spending 60 grand still. When you've got 1 billion in the account, you should be spending more than that. Bringing in this Preslav Barokov, Bulgarian guy. I'm not too sure about that. Striker. How many goals did you score for your new club? 4. Great. Besides that, nothing else of any real excitement. But hey, They were 7th the first season or 8th or whatever it is. Maybe now under this new tutelage of Mickey Mellon, they'll get themselves in the right direction. Let's plough forward yet another season. Okay, so it's now July 2nd, 2022. And Bradford, PA, still stuck in the Vanarama League National North. 17th spot on the table. Don't seem to be making any sort of hedgeway since their massive takeover. They finished 17th in the first season, 19th in the second, 17th in the third. New season is upon us. So they are nowhere. They're just they're stuck. They're stuck with Mark Bower. They need a change of manager to kind of plough them forward. Transfer history. 2021 spent 28,000. I think that's a better chunk of change. So finally they're getting some players in there. Okera Simmons, former Rover, that's good to see. Ex-Liverpool player as well. Scoring 11 goals for them last season. Probably one of their standout players. Any other names that stand out? Lewis Freestone, that's the big money signing for them. But overall, not great. They started this season by bringing in Will Evans, formerly of Chesterfield and Swindon. Still no mate. Nicky Ajose, though, that's not a bad pickup. Scores, formerly of a whole host of teams. Charlton, Leeds. He scored a bucket load of goals for Swindon back in the day. So maybe, just maybe, this could be the season that these boys get themselves up and moving. I need to start seeing some progress, guys, or I'm going to take my money elsewhere. How about in the Vanarama National League South? St Albans up to 6th, though they have made a little bit of progress, but ultimately still stuck in this same old division. They have Mickey Mellon in charge, so that's a positive a bit of something. They did bring in zero money, but a whole host of players. Nobody sort of stands out. Jordan Stewart, do I know him? St Mirren, meh. He's a freebie that is always up for grabs. Yeah. They spent 24 grand so far this season trying to bring in some boys. But again, there's no real mega names. So it's as you are, really. Vanarama, come on, boys. I've put a lot of money in you. Spent a lot of time on this. I want to see some progress. Okay, here we go, folks, into 2023, and what a turnaround. Look at this. How unfortunate for Bradford. Goodness. They finished second, but it's not good enough. It's not good enough. They actually finished on the same points as champions Boston United, but they fail in the playoffs. Oh, my goodness, this was their year. This was their pissing year. Oh, Mark Bower still in charge. Will Evans, proving to be a captain material. They spent a bit of money last season. Did they? No, they didn't. Again, Nicky Ajose, how many goals? Oh, he got binned off. He scored 9 goals for you. Not good enough. Get rid of him. No expense there spared there. Will Evans, though, coming on in. Captain's performance at defence. Just not good enough. This guy looks familiar. From some place. This season, though, what they've done this season, brought in Misalu, Congolese international, so he's coming in there. They're starting to spread their wings a little bit. Zenzel Esmali, not sure I've heard about this guy, but he's worth a little bit of money, a little bit of chunk of change. Got a lot of championship football with him. Was on the Premier League team at Wolves, so we're starting to see a little bit of quality coming on through. 5 grand being paid at the Vanarama National League. Let's take a look at actually the wages. Look at that, 22 grand. Caleb Watts. What the heck's going on here? Australian guy. What's that all about? Formerly of Southampton. Bloody Nora. That's crazy money. Christian Masulu is also against. So this has got to be the year. If these guys are good quality, they've got to be in consideration for it next season. So that's Bradford. How about their oppositions, their rivals down in the Vanarama South? Well, I don't. Oh, they're there. They didn't do it. St Albans actually finished 4th. It looks to be this is we're getting there, folks. We're putting in the grind. So St Albans finishing 4th. Paul Robinson's now in charge. Is it that Paul Robinson? Milestones. It is not. It's a former. What the heck is he? Former player, assistant manager, formerly of Wimbledon. He's now in charge. How long has he been in charge? Let's take a little look at that. It's been in charge 200 days, so the best part of a season. Transfers for him, what did he bring in? He spent 115 grand so far this season, bringing in Scott Duxbury. Yep. Jimmy Cockerand from Preston. Guess they're not getting much game time over there. Thierry Neves, and again spent 100 grand last season. So big money signings for them. Not really, but hey, they're finishing in and around about the territory they need to be. But they've got to make that step now to get up into the automatics or win the playoffs. And it is so tricky. The playoffs it's a huge. I remember doing this with Leyton Orient. There's so many teams that go into the playoffs, and only 2 teams can go up. But anyway, we're getting there. Let's go one more season and have a look where we are. So here we are, folks. 7th of July, 2024. 5 years in. Bradford. They just can't do it. 5th spot in the table, 77 points on the board, in the playoffs again. But they're gonna have to really grind it out if they're gonna get out of this thing. Mark Bowyer still remains. Bid him off, man. Get rid of him. He's not the man. He's not the man to do it. You need a fresh change. Maybe if you got rid of him, with that money, you could bring in a decent manager. Lewis King, Sheffield United, £275,000 brought in. He's a regen. Yeah, so that's that. As for the big money signings last season, I'm interested. Let's take a look at Callum Watts. He's now actually on 28 grand. How good were you last season? You were pretty shit, if I'm honest with you. You don't deserve 22 grand whatsoever. Look at all these guys here. Holy shit, for Vanarama National. They're just throwing money at them. Silly buggers. And you can't get out of this division. I would be ashamed if I was you guys trying to cash out on that. So the Vanarama National League North looks like this. Unfortunately, Bradford, they're up there. They're into consideration. For this season, they are expected to go up. Well, to be second in the table. So maybe, just maybe, this is the year. As for St Albans, same sort of deal. They are still stuck in the Vanarama National League South. It is hard to get out of this pissing division. 74 points for them. Again, playoff bound. Couldn't get out of it. It's stuck in a tangent right here. Graham Alexander is now in charge for these. This is a good appointment. Formerly of Preston, Crewe, Salford, Scunthorpe, Fleetwood. Been there, done it. When I say Preston, that's in the bizarro world. But look, you know, Preston are, what are they, a championship side? So he's left that to come here to St Albans to try and get them in the right direction. So the board at St Albans are thinking, this is it. We've got to bring in some big boy here to come in and turn the ship around. So transfers wise, we saw Neves and all this kind of good stuff. They spent 190 on another youngster. David McWilliam is valued at £925. That's a bit of a shitty, but he actually wanted by another not a decent clubs there. So yeah, and they've also spent a bit of money this season. Anthony Pollard, nobody of any sort of standout, but they're just grinding it. They're forcing it. They need a bit of luck. We're going to go another year and take a look at how we get on again, 2025. We're going to go forward to get another season to see how well we got on the next year. So here we are, folks, July 2025. And again, how unlucky for Bradford. They finished in second spot once again. 96 points on the board. Boston were the better team, though, when going out as champions. Hereford, though, go through as playoff winners. So they're just... had been randomly chosen over 8 points, same record. It's just, you know... They're so close. They are so close. Mark Bauer still remains. Bin him off. Try something new. Transfer centre. They're spending only pittance, really. Pittance. They're spending little money on actual players. Josh Galloway, 23-year-old Scottish guy. Will Patchett. I don't know any of these guys. These are all sort of mediocre, very low down players. Let's take a look at how much they're paying for these mediocre players. It is, it is crazy money. Funny money. Callum Watts still there, £27,500 a week. Absolutely hideous. And realistically, they're just not moving. They're not moving. It's quite frustrating to see this. How about St Albans? Well, we finally have a bit of movement, boys. We finally have a bit of movement. St Albans are on the up. It's taken them, 6 years to get out of this league, but they are there, and they are there by a country mile. 104 points on the board. Let's take a little look at them now, shall we? Graham Alexander, well done. You are the man to get them up and moving. Let's take a little look at the history last season. They spent 700 grand. Where did all that money go? Sebastian Chan, again, regen's been binned off. They spent 245 grand and binned them off. Is that how we do it? Is that how we operate? It's stupid. Nobody really ripping it up for them bad boys. You know what? As soon as they get into a level where they can attract players, I think these guys will absolutely rip it up. But it's getting there. Let's take a look at some of the records the past few years. Kendra Simmons was the top goal scorer last season, scored 13 goals in a year. Average players, Josh Ruffles, again been binned off. You can't hack the stuff. Get out of there. Joshua Webb, he's no longer there. So David Noble, he's no longer there. So St Albans are up and moving. They are now in the Vanarama National. Let's take a look. So there they are. Let's have a little look at the preview, what they're expected. They're expected to get up. Again, back-to-back promotions. They are expected to fly through this division. Again, it's tight. Only 2 spots available, top and playoffs. So hopefully we can see some traction with that bad boy. So here we are, folks. The year is 13th of July, 2026. And we've bloody done it. Bradford are on the move as well. Thank heavens for that. 1 season behind St Albans, but they are finally on the move. They got themselves promoted via the playoffs behind Crosden Ashton. Mark Bower still remains, so persistence. They stuck with the gaffer to get themselves up there. Transfers. Did they make any big money signings to help them get over there? I spent 550 grand so far this season, but last season they only spent 14,000. So money doesn't buy you everything. So no standouts again, just little bits and pieces. So they spent money on MK Dons. This guy, Ollie Knight, looks like a regen. Bit of a receding hairline fella. No games so far, but from the championship for the MK Dons down to the Vanarama National League now, so they are a 1 step away from professional football. Kevin Hanratty also been brought in as well. He's an actual real player, is he? Formerly of Aberdeen back in the day. Scored 14 goals last season for Ayr in the Scottish Championship, so maybe he could get the goals to get Bradford moving. So they're up and running. But how about the Vanarama National League now? Let's take a look at how St Albans got on in their first season. Look at that. One season wonders. They are straight up there. No mucking about. St Albans are on the rise. 101 points on the board. The year's 2026, just to let you know. Well done. Is that Graham Alexander? I told you he's a good hire. Get rid of Mark Bower, flipping Bradford, PA. So they're on the surge now. Still loaded. Their reputation slowly increasing. Transfers. Let's take a look. See if they spent money. They haven't spent money so far this season. They've binned off a couple of players. Probably ain't going to make much money anyway. Whole hope they spent 3.7 million to get themselves up and over the line. Where's the money gone? On Tom Baxter, regen from Doncaster, striker worth 1 million, and he is now in the professional football. They're in Sky Bet League 2. I'm excited. Didn't score that many goals though for a £2.5 million pickup. Not the greatest, but hey, it got them promoted. They also spent money on Hans Volga, German regen from Doncaster. 7.06 average, not bad looking player. Formerly of Liverpool as well. Celtic loanee as well. Tony Hope, another regen. So yeah, things are taking shape for St Albans. Their top highest player is this Hans of Jorg Vogler with 28 grand per week. So they're paying the money, but right now it's pittance for them. These are the Manchester Cities of League 2 now. So things are looking good. Now, what about, just to take a look at League 2, let's have a little look at the season preview, see what they're expected. They are expected to be 8th at the end of the season. So they're not expected to do back-to-back promotions, but hey, we'll fast forward. Any standout players in the Media 11? I don't even know who they are. St Albans, there's one. Steve Collier, regen. Supposed to be the next best thing. It's come through the Youth Academy. We'll see, eh? We'll see in another year's time. See you. Wow. Here we are, boys. The year is 2027, 16th of July, and it seems to be the same sort of trend for St Albans. Bradford ripping it up. Back-to-back promotions, so they are now in the actual Football League. Got themselves promoted. Well done. We'll take a little look at Bradford, shall we? Mark Bower, defining all expectations to be manager for these. Just sticking with him. They're not going to decide to go for anybody else. So they are on the surge. Look at that, on the surge now after being down here, wherever that is. I don't even know what that division is, but they are now in the Vanarama National League. Alongside St Albans are in there. Where's the other Bradford? The other Bradford must be above them in the next league. Let's take a look at their transfers this past season. They spent 2.8 million. A bit of attractiveness about this club. Ian Sullivan from Cardiff, under 21 international midfielder. did all right. 6.99 average rated for Ian Sullivan. Also spent money on Ollie Knights from NK Dons. I think we saw that transfer already. That was from the previous year. But nobody of any real quality. And they are still paying a lot of money. 37 grand for Callum Watts, who is an Australian. Is he good? I don't know. We don't know. It's a mystery. It's a mystery. But, we've already spoiled it for you. St Albans, where are they? They are in the Vanarama National League 2. But last season, they finished 18th. So well below expectations for them. Graham Alexander still the manager, probably under a little bit of pressure now that he failed this season, didn't get them into consideration. Still loaded, the reputation has not increased whatsoever. They spent last season 3.7 million, bringing in the likes of Tom Baxter. Did we see this already? Look at him, he's not really that great. 15 goals though, that's not a bad turnaround in this division, but it's a lot of money. It's a ridiculous amount of money. So he got picked up. We saw Hans fella, the German. Solid sort of midfielder. 12 goals as well from midfield. Not bad indeed. There's a Blackburn Rovers pickup. Gavin Moth. Never heard of him. Regen, of course. That seems to be the case these days. Just picking up regens. No major signings. But hey, we're moving. We're on the right direction, but it needs to be a bit of an improvement if they're going to stick around. Let's take a look at the new odds for this season. Season preview. St Albans. Where the heck are you? Where are you, St Albans? I'm blind. Well, Bradford are expected to be 13th. St Albans are expected to be 23rd, 40th, 40 to 1. Relegation odds. We'll have a look then at next time around and see where we are. Another year in the loco. It's now 18th of July 2028, and this is the season here. Boys and girls, what happened? Bradford finished 18th. They're both in the same division. St Albans finished 13th. And we'll have a look at the head-to-head matches in a second. So York, Mansfield, Wickham, and Crewe got themselves promoted. So this is their second season for St Albans, just the first season for Bradford. So you know what? They've got a lot of spots on the line here, so I'm expecting them to be pushing up the table pretty soon. St Albans finishing 13th, their highest in this division. Nicky Crowley is the new manager, so Graham Alexander got binned off. Obviously, Cowley is part of that dream team of the Cowley brothers. Formerly assistant of him, the other Cowley, for Huddersfield and Birmingham, looks like. And now he's on his own with St Albans. So, let's take a look at what he did in his first season, transfer-wise. Let's have a little look, shall we? Spending 8.75 million. That's this season. Last season, spent nothing. A lot of loanees. Maybe they just kind of curbed the spending a little bit. No real standout. Again, I don't know if we're ever going to see a real player play for St Albans. But this season, they spent 8.5 million on Dan Hyde, who's rated at 4.2 million. So they're putting a lot of reliability on this youngster. Played 2 games, 1 goal for Everton, who are in the Championship. Just putting that out there. So big signing for them. How much money does he get in a week? He's getting 3 grand, so it's not bad. I just saw an interesting signing. Oh, it's not that interesting. But who's this guy? Dabrowski, Polish. He looks like a real player. He is a real player. Formerly of whoever that team is, and he used to play for Hibs as well. So, goalkeeper Dabrowski is now here, amongst a whole other players. Again, never heard of them. Just a quick overview of the squad. If they're trimming it down a little bit, not many players left. So, moving on. As for Bradford PA, Mark Bauer still remains in charge. Their reputation is on the rise, obviously. There is another team in Bradford, and that is Bradford City, who we'll have a look where they are in a second. But quick look at the transfers for Bradford PA. Have they started spending the money? No, they binned off a few players. No, this summer. Last summer, they spent 2.8 million. Ian Sullivan. Did we look at this guy? I think we did look at him already. Not great stats, but slowly but surely, they're trying to build a squad. The other Bradford got themselves relegated this season, so they will be playing in the same division this season. Look at that. Oh yes, indeed. Speaking of playing each other, let's have a look. Last season, the games between the two mega rich clubs, St Albans. So Bradford lost the game at home to St Albans, and the other one, they also lost. So St Albans are the better of the two sides, according to this. Let's go forward another year. So here we are, folks, 10 years into the experiment, and we have more traction, big traction. St Albans are on the move, playoff winners. Playoff winners, yeah, they must have been playoff winners. Coming in there, 81 points, just shy of actually winning it outright. But credit to them, they are now in the Sky Bet League One, folks. League One. They were actually playing alongside Bolton. That's how mad they are. Bradford, PA, did finish below Bradford City, so they are not the powerhouses of Bradford just yet. Let's give them another season and see how they are. In fact, do we want to break this into 2 videos, or maybe even more than 2 videos? I don't know. Maybe we'll keep going. We'll keep going. Let's take a look at Bradford first and see how they got on. Mark Bauer still in charge. No major change there. They seem to be stagnant a little bit. This is only their second season though in League Two. We'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Transfers wise, spent just $8,000 this summer. They did spend big, I think. Last summer they didn't spend nothing. They spent nothing. 28-29, sticking with the boys that they got. So maybe the board is clamping down on the spending, the crazy money. So yeah, no major changes there squad wise. Now how about those bad boys St Albans who are making moves, always making moves, one step ahead of Bradford, aren't they? Nick Cowley is still the manager. Well done to you, getting themselves into contention. The reputation is on the rise. This is it. This is where we're going to see a massive resurgence from St Albans to go and take the league by storm. It's taken them 10 years to get this far. Transfers, what did they do this season, last season? Nothing spent this far. A couple of freebies. Nothing really exciting. However, last season they did spend £9 million. Where was the money on? Dan Hyde, we did see that deal. A couple other bits and pieces. Nothing crazy though. No. A lot of names that don't mean nothing to me. Let's have a look at the squad. Hans-Jörg Vogler is the main man. The most expensive player they have on the books is Dan Hyde. We're going to take a look at the records. Players last season, most goals by a player in a season. Anthony Johnson, youngster. Well, he's now 25 years old, getting on a little bit. Gavin Moth, yeah. I think we saw Tom Baxter, didn't he? Did he get binned off? He's now playing for Brentford. So they spent 2.5 million on him, and he got binned off. Picked up on a freebie. That's a bad bit of business. You might, you're loaded, but you're doing some bad business calls here. But anyway, St Albans don't care right now. They are on the rise, and maybe their first season in League One. Let's take a little look at what it looks like. League One these days. So there they are. Where are they? There they are. St Albans, 22nd in the table. Obviously, squeaky clean. Have a look at the preview. So they are expected to struggle, be 20th in the table, but just survive relegation. How about Bradford in the next thing? They are expected to be relegated. Back out of the thing. They need to make a change. Get rid of the manager, and hopefully they can start to search the table, because they need to be up there with St Albans. Anyway, let's go forward another year. So here we are, folks. It is 2030, July 24th. This new season is just upon us. Bradford defied all those relegation worries, and they finished mid-table, though nowhere near promotion in League Two. Mark Bower still remains longest-serving manager, perhaps. Yeah. In fact, let's just go back a second there. Bradford City still remain ahead of them. Let's actually go and look at that last season's campaign. In fact, the first season's campaign. We're going to go back a couple of seasons here and take a look at the games against Bradford. The bitter rivalry. Bradford City, they lost. The other one, they lost. They're not beating Bradford City the first season. Now this is the second season we're looking at here. They took on Bradford City. They beat them. Stick it up, yeah. Now, how about this season? Did they later on in the season? Ooh, they lost. So it's like 3-1. Just in case you're keeping tabs. So Boa still remains in charge. Transfers. Spend a bit of money. This season. Last season they spent pittance, just a lot of loanees, but this season they're going for it. They are going for it. Spending money on Reece Bailey from Crystal Palace, a youngster. Can't really see much of his stats. No idea what he's all about. Was on Crystal Palace books last season, who were in the Championship. But they spent money on this guy, Jake Bagwell, 18-year-old, rated at 5 million, defender. It's played actual games for the championship last season, possibly highly rated. They're going for it. They're putting all their hopes on him. Besides that, other couple of little faces. Who's this guy? Gordy Meyer from Kenya, midfielder. Random transfer, formerly of Bournemouth and Billericay. But yeah, he's a decent sort of player. I think he could do bits for them at this level. So yeah, they're spending money on one or two players. Bagwell, let's have a little look how much money you're making, Bagwell. Are you making chunk of change? You're not really making that much. Derek Lee is the main man there. Again, in around about $8,000. It's not as bad as the other team, St. Albans. And speaking of them, let's go take a look at how they are doing. So they are in League One, or are they? They are in League One. It's his first season in the League One. Defied all expectations, sticking up. 17th in the division. Simon Grayson is now in charge of these bad boys. So that's sprung a bit of a surprise. So Nick Cowley got binned off. Jim Rollo took over as caretaker. He's now assistant at Thingamajig. And Grayson, he's a big appointment. 230 days in charge. Maybe exciting times ahead for Grayson. Their reputation has remained the same. Transfer history. Spent no money this season bringing on Martin McLeod from Barnsley. No, I never heard of him. Last season they did only bring in a few players. Nobody really of any standout quality. This guy, was that a loan? Yeah. So no real improvements with the squad, but I still think it's decent and should be good enough to compete at this level. So they remain in this division. The overview for these guys, the predictions are expected to struggle. Once again, 19th for St. Albans. As for Bradford PA, they are expected to be 17th in League 2. So another year in the locker, and it is, 27th of July 2031, and Bradford PA are above Bradford City. That's progress in their eyes. It might not be the grand scheme of things, considering they are loaded. Just beat them on goal difference, though. That's positivity. So they are the best team in Bradford. Round of applause for you guys, Bradford PA. But still stuck in this dude. They got a new manager now, though. They have a new manager, Nathan Jones. We know him from his days at Luton and Stoke. So he's here. He's been around on the block since then. He obviously was at Stoke here. He got binned off. I don't know if that's before the update or what, or in the real world. But anyway, he got a job at Plymouth, Notts County, Forest Green, and now Bradford PA. Positive times maybe ahead for Bradford PA. Obviously, coming into it, you're thinking, yeah, he's gonna buy big money transfers. Well, £11 million was spent last season on where is he? Jake Bagwell. £3.2 million rated nowadays. Not great, really, when you're spending that kind of money. You should be expecting more stuff. They also spent money on Reece Bailey, who's an attacking midfielder. Scored 7 goals. Not bad, but still a lot of money being dumped on him. Tyler Crane as well, from Reading. Quite a few assists. But you should be expecting more from that kind of money. Moving on to this season, they spent Bobby Jardine from Derby. He's come in. He's a defender. Can play on right or left. Another regen. That's all we see these days. And yeah, that's pretty much it, really. So they are in League 2. They will remain. What is the preview for these guys now with the new manager? They're expected to be battling in 4th spot, 5-2 up there. Tyler Crane is one of the players to watch this season. Will he do it out for Bradford? As for their opposition, the other Bradford are expected to be in 8th. So, turning of the tide perhaps for Bradford PA. Meanwhile, St. Albans doing better. 10th of the table for St. Albans. Just how many points outside? 13 points outside the playoffs. Simon Grayson remains in charge. Reputation not budged whatsoever. History transfer wise, are they spending money? 850 grand this season. They did spend 300 grand last season on Mats Eccles, who's a 27-year-old German. Yeah, don't really know much about them. Getting rid of a lot of players as well. Not making money off them at all. Bringing in this time around Neil Todd, Dominic Bolton, Martin Allen. Again, all regens. This guy is 21 years of age. Scored 10 goals last season for Rochdale. What's the outlook for St Albans this season? Well, let's have a little look, shall we? The season preview is St Albans are expected to finish at 10th spot this year. So maybe they could overshoot those expectations and get themselves into consideration for championship football, folks. Let's realise that. Let's realise that. So let's go. So another year down, folks, and another year of Sky Bet League 2 football for Bradford, PA. Bradford City regained the dominance in the city of Bradford. They finished above them. 3 positions better off. 7 points better off as well. So Bradford PA stuck in a bit of a wilderness. Lee Johnson is now the manager. This could be, I said that last time out, but I thought Nathan Jones would be able to do it. But Lee Johnson is of a good ilk. Obviously, we know him from his Bristol City days. But since then, in this world, he's managed Millwall, Hull, Coventry, Millwall again, Sheffield United, Middlesbrough, left Middlesbrough, and now, was he left Middlesbrough or did he get fired? Sacked. He did get sacked. But he's here at Bradford, PA now to maybe turn the screw for Bradford. So he's here, transfer-wise. They've been spending. They spent £4.8 million so far this campaign, £1.2 million last campaign. Bobby Jardine, Jack Kelsey from Derby. They're spending money, folks, so they got to be into consideration. This time out, Carter Reeves from Burnley. Six-finger freakazoid. Hasn't played a game of football. Burnley's still in the Premier League, which pisses me off. So he's probably going to be the one they're going to be pinning their hopes on this time around. As for the team itself, still not spending as crazy money as you would expect, considering St Albans spending a lot of money. Jack Tucker, Aaron Morley. Yeah, I'm just seeing if there's any actual decent real players from the real world in this thing. But no, Bradford PA back in League 2 still. As for their sort of rivals in this sort of universe, St Albans, 18th spot in League 1. They are going backwards. They are going backwards. Under the tutelage of Mikel Arteta is now in charge of St Albans. He's 50 years old. Look at it. He's got great stats. You know what? This smells like this could be it. This could be a turning point for St Albans. Managers. So Grayson lasted 2 years in the job. Mikel Arteta's been there a year, or 100 days sort of thing. So give him a full crack of the whip. Has he been greedy with the transfers? Well, let's have a little look, shall we? It loads up. 400 grand spent this season. Still a little bit of the transfer window to go. Spent £875,000 last season. Not really of anything of any significant quality there. This season, most money is going on Lee Troke from Notts County. Yeah, whatever. Let's take a look at the team itself these days. Tony Gallagher, never heard of him. Looks like a real player. He's got a big old history. Aaron Ho, he is also a real player, formerly of Leyton Orient and Huddersfield. What? Derby spent £12.5 million on this guy. Holy crap, he's now playing for St Albans. Dan Hyde, the future of the football here, the face of the brand. He's still here. It's pretty shit, but he's still here. And Hans Vogel is still here as well. So, can Mikel Arteta drive these bad boys from relegation fodder to promotion candidates? Well, the odds are not looking great. 12th in the table for them. Did we look at League 2? Bradford PA, 5th expectations. That's the expectation. So here we are, folks. It is 1st of August. Well, I've really overcooked it this time. 2033. Bradford PA, despite finishing beneath Bradford City, have got themselves promoted to League 1. The money train will start to click into gear now. Bradford's a big city up in the northeast, so hopefully, they might start luring some players in, and they might start kicking into gear and getting up the football ladder. It's taken them a fair bit though to get from this level, despite having that Wodger cash in there. So, despite finishing beneath their city rivals, Bradford City, they leapfrog them in the football ladder. So, let's take a look at it. Lee Johnson, well done to you, son. Get themselves up and moving. They are still loaded and potentially now could start to kick into top gear. They spent £4.2 million this season. George Overton's come in from Coventry. Was playing championship football last season. Went on loan to. He's actually played 2 games for Arsenal in the Premier League. So you know what, it could be a good addition for them. in League One. What else we got going on here? That's probably all the money's gone on to. That's, again, just this season. Last season, they spent 4.8 million. Carl Reeves was the face of the place. And he scored 12 goals in their promotion campaign. I guess they're going to be looking to do for him to step it up a notch this season and everything else. You know, some bit part players. So, yeah, they're on the move. Let's take a look at some records here, because I don't think we did this with Bradford. So, the main goal scorer, Tom Kinnard, was actually playing football in Ayr once again. Wasn't he on... Did he do well at Ayr? Celtic, we snapped him up. When I say we, these guys snapped him up. And he was a regular goal scorer, so, you know, credit to him sticking around. Jack Kelsey is the face of the place these days. Akira Simmons has packed it in. The average rating... Sorry, that's not the one. Yeah, a whole host of players. Ian Sullivan is actually at Motherwell these days. Alex Hurst is available on a freebie. Julian Martin was the man of the plan last season, on loan from Thingamabob. So that's Bradford. They are on the surge. They will be playing League One football this time around. Speaking of League One, will they be playing St Albans? The season's already underway. They should be playing St Albans, because they finished in 19th spot this past season. 52 points on the board. No more Mikel Arteta. He was absolutely shit. Diego Martinez has come in. I don't know who he is. Milestones for Martinez. Former Leeds manager. Former Vallecano Granada manager. He's been around the game a little bit. But he's here now managing St Albans to hopefully get them over the line and into Championship football. That's the next step up for them. They are rich. They are loaded. But yeah, what went on with Arteta? He left. Where did he go? He went to join Fiorentina. Well, you left us in shit state, buddy. Transfer business this time around, they've kind of gone a bit stagnant, haven't they? 400 grand this season. Last season, they spent 875,000 pounds. So not too much money. Martin Allen was the big transfer then. He did all right. Didn't do brilliant, but he did all right. This season, pinning their hopes on Lee Troke. In fact, that last season. This season, they spent 69 grand on Bradley Sherlock Holmes and the gang. So, not mega money spent. It's quite disappointing, really. They've got all that money sitting in the pot. They're waiting to be an attractive club. But anyway, that's League One as it stands. Let's take a look at the overview now that both of them are in the same division. So, this season, Bradford PA are expected to finish 16th. St Albans are expected to finish 11th. So, there's still a thing of quality difference. Alex Harold is tipped to be in the team of the year. And then George Overton's also be tipped to be in the team of the year, or there or thereabouts. Anyway, folks, let's go forward another year and see where we are in 2034. So here we are, folks. The year is 2034. The season has wrapped up, and contrasting fortunes. Very, very much so. St Albans finishing a respectable 5th, but unfortunately losing in the playoffs, whereas Bradford, unfortunately, they got relegated. Oh, my goodness. Alongside Preston as well. So what went wrong with Bradford? Well, Lee Johnson's still in charge. I don't know why or how long that's going to be for. I think he's going to get binned off unless he turns it around, like, drastically. So that's a little bit of a shocker there. I'm very disappointed to see that happen. Spending no money this season. Last season, they spent, all in all, 4.2 million, pinning their hopes on George Overton. Still there. The club wanted by Portsmouth. Where are Portsmouth? They're in the Championship, so be good to hold on to him if they can, but unfortunately they're going to be playing League 2 football once again, so their brief spell in League 1 is over. As for St Albans, still managed by Diego Martinez, unfortunately finishing 5th and not getting promoted is a bit of a kick in the backside. Transfer wise though, they did spend 400 grand so far. Last season they spent 400 grand. This season 1.6 million. And they're pinning their hopes on Levy Girthfield, who's a regen from Wigan. who are in the Championship. They bought him actually from Wolves. I actually played a buttload of games for Wigan in the Championship. So can he play at the League One level? I hope so, because I want to see these boys push on further. And they could even eventually have a 2-league difference between themselves and Bradford PA if they don't get themselves back in order. So we're gonna keep on going, keep moving this baby in the right direction. I just want to take a look at League Two here to see what happens with Bradford City. They're there, so they're going to be duking it out in League Two once again. Quick look at the Season 2 preview. Well, Bradford PA are favourites to go straight back up alongside Bradford City, so it could be a bit of a tussle there. In League 1, St Albans will be duking it out with Sunderland to try and get themselves out of it. They are actually 7th favourites to get promoted. Another year in the locker, and it is now early August 2035, and Bradford PA, alongside Bradford City, get themselves back into the League 1. In fact, PA do finish above their City rivals by 3 points, so they're still the best team in Bradford. So that's what £1 billion does for you. It does make you the better team in Bradford. Lee Johnson remains, got themselves promoted the first time I'm asking, and hopefully they can duke it out this time around in League 1. They spent money, did they? Nope, nothing this season. Picking up a lot of loanies and freebies. Emmanuel de Cruz sounds fancy, but not really. Doesn't look that fancy, does he? How about last season? They spent 700 grand. Justin Day from Watford. He was picked up, whoever he may be. Regen of the future. And Tottenham player. Yeah, bits and pieces. Nothing really to get too excited about. But they're back in League 1, which is great to see. However, in League 1, St Albans finished in 16th spot. Absolute shit show for them. Sunderland got themselves promoted back, as did Sheffield Wednesday. So they were duking it out with St Albans, who, disappointed, and it cost a man his job. That's right. Martinez got binned off. Up stepped Eddie Howe, who was also sacked after 100 and so many days. My, have the great have fallen. Obviously, former Bournemouth manager went to take over Burnley. Shocker. Went back to Bournemouth, went to Newcastle, QPR, Millwall, Derby and St Albans. So Eddie Howe is not the future of football. He got binned off by St Albans. Jason Tyndall is the man at the helm these days. Formerly of Middlesbrough, Watford, Rovers, Bournemouth, Reading, and he was an assistant manager at Newcastle. In the real world, he does start off as assistant manager in Bournemouth. So Jason Tyndall is the man, hopefully, going to push St Albans into the right direction and up another level in the Championship. Transfer history for these bad boys this year. Spent 1.7 million bringing in a guy, Lewis. That was last season. I keep doing that. Oh my goodness gracious. Finally, someone's decided to have a go. Have a pissing go. £37.5 million spent. The majority of it is on Andy Leach. Who the heck is this guy from West Ham? He's only played a handful of games. He played 3 games last season on loan at MK Dons. What? Poor bastards. That's daylight robbery. And they also spent a couple of million on Gene Lewis, 2 strikers, hopefully to fire them up the table. Well. If that doesn't work, I don't know what will. The season expectations for Bradford. Lewis is in there. Gene Lewis, the other expensive bastard, is not in there. So that's quite surprising. But St Albans are expected to finish 4th this season. So this could be the year for them, as in League 2. In fact, they're in League 1, right? They're in League 1, Bradford PA. Bradford PA are expected to finish in 14th. So we'll see how that gets on. So the year now is 2036. The season is well underway. And look at, oh my goodness. Bradford PA, you're a joke. You're an absolute joke. You've lost it. You've lost the power. Power's gone to Bradford City, who finished 8th in League 1. Bradford PA are going down with Salford. Back to League 2. They can't handle it. They are not good enough. St Albans, though, finishing unlucky for them. 3rd in the table. Goodness, they made the playoffs under the tutelage of Jason Tyndall. They spent money, though, didn't they? They spent that £32 million. They've already spent £1.7 million this time around. Did you score a shit ton load of goals, Andy Leach? You better have done. 10 goals. Just 10 goals. Oh, my goodness. That's £3.5 million a goal. That's hideous. What about the cheaper alternative? Matey Boy. Let's have a look at Matey Boy. Gene Lewis. He was the bookie sort of one to watch. He did get one more goal than you, so not too bad there. So, yeah. So, unfortunately, spending 40 million gets you absolutely nowhere under this one. They also brought in this guy, a Montenegrin international as well. He's actually gone to York. So, he was there for a season and then sold. Formerly of Newcastle as well. This season, they spent a couple of million. Stephen Slack has been brought in to tighten up the defence. And maybe, just maybe, this is the season they get themselves promoted to the Championship. It's getting close to 20 years, folks. 20 years in with 1 billion in the locker, and so far it's not. I don't know if it's a success. I think it's actually quite a grind. As for Bradford PA, they have actually got a new manager in the helm, and it is Phil Parkinson. Obviously, Phil Parkinson takes over the reins from Lee Johnson's been there for 3 years. They don't seem to like to sack managers that much, but Phil Parkinson's been there just as shy of a year. He's not got long left to get this bad boy back into League One, at least. They're still loaded. History. Let's take a look at some transfer dealings. Spent 300 grand this season. Philip Patrick from Crawley. Last season they spent £1,800. So tighten up the shoestrings perhaps. But quite disappointed with how they have come and gone. They've peaked, they've troughed, they've gone up and down. It's not been really worked. It hasn't worked for Bradford PA. Well, here we are, folks. The year is 2037 and Bradford PA are struggling. They did not get anywhere near promotion this time around. They're stuck in League Two with the likes of Preston, with the likes of Peterborough. Who else is in there? Nearly 20 years into the future. FC United are there as well. Doncaster just got themselves promoted. So they are going absolutely nowhere. And yes, it did cost Matey Boy his job. What's his name? Parkinson came and went. Caretaker took over for a couple of days. David Adams, who is formerly of Brentford, Southend, MK Dons, Blackpool, Wimbledon, Sheffield Wednesday. So he does start the game as a coach for Sheffield Wednesday. So he is the man, hopefully trying to push this team in the right direction. They look to be absolutely treading water as it stands. They can't get anywhere. Cannot get anywhere. Season expectation for this new season, 27. Is this the new season? I'm not too sure now. I've kind of got themselves. They were second favourites to get themselves promoted, and they finished mid-table. So a little bit of embarrassment there. Over in League One, though. What do we have in League One? St Albans. They're on their way to the Championship. Da-da-da-da. Do-do-da-dee. So, St Albans do get themselves there. Jason Tyndall is the man who has pulled the strings and got themselves over the line. And they are one division shy of the Premier League. What is all this? Transfer history. There we go. They spent £8.5 million this season, bringing in Joe Sprange from Birmingham. Midfield central. Played pretty decent, 9 goals from central midfield. So he did his bit to get themselves over the line this time around. So now we just come clear. St Albans in the Championship. Bradford PA are in League Two. There's a huge divide between the two sides now. 1.2 million on Stephen Slack. Did we see that? We did. They tightened up the defence last season. What about that big money signing a couple seasons back? See how he's getting on with goals. Have you scored? Did you score at least 10 goals this season, Andy Leach? Just 10 goals. In fact, 7 goals in the league. I think that's a bit of a dud. 30 million. What about Matey Boy? The future. Gene Lewis. Again, not many goals. In fact, who is the man scoring the goals for you? I'm interested. I'm quite curious to see who's scoring your goals. Rob Carroll, 17 goals this season. He was a £825,000 pickup from Crystal Palace. So he's the one scoring the goals, getting St Albans up into the Championship as champions, and we are shy of 20 years in this simulation/experiment. So they will make it into the Championship. Let's fast forward another season to the 19th season and see where we are. So here we are, folks. The year is 2038. The new season, and the last one in this video, I think, is started. But Bradford PA, they're finally on the move. They got themselves promoted alongside Bradford City once again, and they are back in dominance in the city of Bradford. So they come out on tops as champions. Obviously, this is their progress. We'll look at that in the final season. Dave Adams did the job, got themselves over the line. Thank heavens for that. History. Let's take a look at the transfers. Only spent £97,000. They're doing it the cheap way. They're not breaking the bank this season. Last season they did spend £1.2 million though on a whole host of players. Patrick Izaguro. He's actually wanted by Wimbledon. Not sure where they are these days. But yeah, they spent money last season to get themselves up and at them. This season, they've not spent that much money to get themselves closer to the line. But they're there. They are now back in League One. Speaking of League One, we don't want to go League One. We want to go to the Championship. How about the Championship? Well, St Albans were in the Championship, and they finished a respectable 8th in their first season. So close to the playoffs. Sam Field is now in charge, which is a little bit interesting because Jason Tyndall was the man. So he got swapped, he got gobbled up by Birmingham. So that is interesting. Milestones. Yeah, he left St Albans to go to Birmingham. But hey, it doesn't matter. Does not matter. We brought in Sam Field. When I say we, young manager. Look at him. Little babyface assassin there, looking good. And they are on the rise. Let's take a look at the transfers this season that got themselves into promotion contention, but just outside it. £15.5 million this season. Let's go back a year. Take a little look. They spent £101 million. Holy shit! In the Championship. 101 million. They spent big money on Lloyd Miller, formerly of Arsenal. He did only a handful of games. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous sort of money there. 1.3 million. Anthony Robertson, who's a defender. 101 million. 17.5 million on Alex Willis, defender. 2.8 million on Paul Dredge from Birmingham, who's already on the transfer list. Ridiculous amount of money, and you fail. Maybe that's what cost him. Well, it didn't cost him a job. He left, didn't he? And then they spent another 15 million now. I guess the money is now readily available. They're going to be spending big to get themselves into the Premier League. That's what it's all about. And now they've got the lure, they've got the attractiveness of playing at the Championship level, and a decent turnaround around. The reputation is on the rise a little bit, but yeah. They are one short. Let's take a look at actually the Championship. They started this season a pretty good form. They're in the mix as well. Season preview, they are tipped to be 17th in the table. And if you want to look at Bradford, PA in League One, they are tipped to finish 12th. And we're going to do one more year. And that will wrap up 20 years. And then we could talk about maybe doing a second video on this. So here we are, folks, with the final season of this video, 20 years in, after giving Bradford, PA and St Albans £1 billion to spend. Let's take a little look at the league table. Well, Bradford, PA finished 9th in League One. That's their highest ever position. 64 points on the board. Let's take a little look at them. So this is their progress since we took over or gave them the money. Back in 2019, 2020. It was a slow start, eventually getting themselves promoted back in 2022. They stayed at that level for a few seasons before making the jump to the Vanarama National League. In fact, yeah, National League as first place. So they got themselves promoted into League Two. They went and they stayed at League Two for a couple of seasons before getting themselves promoted eventually to League. What the heck is this? League Two. So yep, they got themselves up to 12th. So here we are, folks, with the final season recap, and into League Two we go. Bradford, PA finished a respectable 9th spot in the table. So here we are, folks, with the final season review of this experiment simulation by giving both Bradford, PA and St Albans £1 billion. Now, after 20 seasons, Bradford, PA finish in League One, and they finish in 9th in the table. Let's take a little look at them, shall we? They are now managed by Czech Tunson. Who remembers him? He was a goal scoring. Well, we'll see. He was a goal scoring machine. He was a goal scorer for Everton back in the day. But now he is a manager, formerly of Mansfield, Stockport, Nuneaton Borough. Definitely lower echelon managers for in England, but he's here and he's steered them to a respectable, what was it, 9th in the table League Two last season, 9th this season. So yeah, let's take a look at their journey from here. They started in 2019, 17th in the table, moving forward. Eventually, get themselves promoted as in second spot. No, they stayed there. They finished second, but they had to stay in the Vanarama National League North, 5th. eventually getting to second once again, and eventually they got themselves promoted. 25-26 season. So up they went to the Vanarama National League, and they stormed straight from that division straight into League 2, and that's where they remained. They stayed in the National League 2, finishing 18th in the first season, then 19th. In fact, let's look at this this way. Competitions, domestic leagues. So here is the journey. It's definitely easy to see. So we took over the reins around about here. So Vanarama National League North. That was the day the season they got promoted. They got back-to-back promotions up to League 2, and then eventually stuck in League 2 for a while, get themselves promoted via the playoffs to League 1, to only get relegated back to League 2 again, to get promoted back to League 1, back down to League 2, where they were there for a couple of seasons, and they've just got themselves promoted last season, finishing first, but ultimately finishing in League 1. So they're just shy of any playoff talk. The new manager, or this season, or last season, whatever you want to call it, they spent 120 grand, kind of keeping the purse strings tight. If you want to take a look at how much money they have left over the 20-year sort of thing, they've still got 388 million left in the bank. 130 transfer budget, 130 million that is, with a wage budget of 924,000. They barely touched the wage budget realistically, so yeah, they spent a lot of money though trying to keep this team going in the right direction. It's 20 years in, and that's where we have us. Well, we'll leave them for now. How about their opposite rivals then, the St Albans? Now, last season they were in the Championship, so let's take a look at where they are now. Well, the season has ended, and St Albans are ninth. Let's take a closer look at that. Let's take a look at the league table. Ninth this season. They were 8th last season, so it's kind of they've gone a little bit stagnant this year, but they are doing bits. They're on the verge, I'd say, of knocking on the door for Premier League football. Give it another 5 years, I'd say they'll be there. So £1 billion will get St Albans to mid-table in the Championship. They've risen up the ranks a lot smoother than Bradford PA. We'll take a look at them. Their reputation is now up to 3 stars, so it's very, very moving in the right direction. They've kind of hit the ground running. The transfers this season, they spent another 44 million. Last season they spent 101 million, wasn't it? It was crazy money. Still throwing the money at it. 20 million on Charlie Cameron, 3.5 million Paul Bower, 5 million on Roman Torresi from Notts County, Ed Lee from Derby. So let's take a look at their rise up the ranks. So they started with us in the Vanarama South, finishing in 7th in their first season. Then they finished in 18th. Then they finished in 6th, 4th, eventually into 6th spot, getting themselves nowhere. The only way they got themselves promoted was finishing top of the pops in 24-25 season, going up as champions. Back-to-back promotions saw them skip the Vanarama National season after just 1 year. Into League 2 they were, and a couple of seasons there before getting themselves promoted via the playoffs. It was a general upwards direction for St Albans, eventually getting to League 1, 17th in the first season, 10th, back down to 18th, back to 19th. Then they got themselves into 5th spot, which was playoff talk, but unfortunately no joy. Then they got to 16th, no joy once again. 3rd, playoffs, no joy again with the playoffs. This time they got themselves promoted 36-37 season as championships to get them up to the Championship, and they finished 8th last season, 9th this season. They are on the rise. Let's take a look at how much they spent. A lot of money. They have spent a lot of money. Started with 1 billion. They now have, at this point in time, 422 million pounds. That's more money than flipping Bradford PA did. Their wage budget's taken a bit of a significant hit, and still got a lot of transfer budget to spend if they were to go there. So over half spent, more than 2/3 for Bradford PA. But anyway, that's what £1 billion gets you if you invest it into a Vanarama National League club. In the real world, they start right here, right now, 2019-2020 season, at the bottom of their respective leagues. But I've taken them with a bit of money, not me, the simulation, to the Championship and to League 1, respectively. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see another 10 years or so, give me your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. Make sure you give this video some of these, give it some thumbs up, and make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're new. A lot of Football Manager videos coming on the channel. We're not necessarily doing a game save. We're going to be doing much more experiments. I'm thinking about doing something similar to this. If we can go to the Vanarama state here. And how about we give all the teams in the Vanarama League South and all the teams in the Vanarama League North £1 billion, and to see who out of all 48 teams rises to the top the quickest. So that's what I'm thinking about doing next. If you want to see that, give me some comments about it in the comment section down below. I'll see you all next time around. Again, give this video some loving. I'll be back very, very soon. Ciao. Bye now. Thanks again for watching. Please like, share, and most importantly, hit the subscribe button to keep you bang up to date with all things Blackburn Rovers related, Championship related, football related. We've got it all covered right under one roof. And while I still have you, please be sure to check out some of the old videos scattered along here. I hope.